Hi, and welcome to this webinar. We are going to talk about the survey, the Bravo project hosted on vocational qualifications. My name is Silje Molander, and I'm here with my colleague.
My name is Mirella Tsatsam, and I am the project coordinator for the Bravo project.
And thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this webinar. We are so glad that you too are also interested in this topic. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to use the Q&A. Our colleague Torjus and Siam will try to answer your questions. And also Miguel is our technical support here today. This webinar will be recorded and maybe we will post it on our website. And for those of you who haven't answered the survey yet, there is still a chance to finish the survey. We have until the 1st of July to finish it. We will send this presentation to everybody who has signed up for this webinar, along with a short feedback quest. But before we talk about the survey, I will introduce you to Bravo. What is Bravo and why Bravo? When the recognition scheme on both EQF level 4 and 5 were established in Norway, we had a hard time getting the information we needed to assess those qualifications. And like when you deal with bachelor and master's degree, you can always find best practices either in the EAR manual or the LRC and now the Global Convention. In our experience, there has been a main focus on assessing higher education qualification. And the lack of a network for our recognition scheme gave us the idea for this Erasmus Plus project. And we are not included regulated profession in this project since those qualifications are handled elsewhere. And who are we? The consortium consists of 3 ENIC offices. It's Sweden, Lithuania, and Norway. The Norwegian office is the project coordinator. And our ENIC office used to be NOKUT, but now we have moved to the Directorate of Higher Competence and Skills, but our tasks and mandates are still the same. We have been working with recognition of vocational education and training since 2016, and with tertiary vocational education since 2019. Both recognition schemes are developed in close relationship with the social partners. The Swedish ENIC office has many years of experience assessing all types of qualifications on all levels. They issue an advisory statement, which is a comparison to the closest qualification or education in the Swedish educational system. The statement is not legally binding, but it's meant to facilitate access to the Swedish labor market. The Lithuanian ENIC office does not have the authority to recognize vocational qualification as of yet. But however, there's some legislating reforms are being carried out, and they hope that they are able to recognize vocational qualifications by the end of 2023. And this is due to an increasing number of vocational applicants. The methodology is being developed and pilot evaluations are being conducted. The aim of the Bravo project is to explore the need and possibility to extend the NARIC network to include a network in the field of vocational qualification. As a part of this exploration, the project aims to map knowledge on how vocational education qualifications are assessed and recognized today through a survey and desk research. The project will also facilitate best practice sharing on vocational recognition through workshops. The project kickoff meeting was held at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris in March 2023. We had a meeting with UNESCO about the project and topic of recognition of vocational qualification, and UNESCO presented their work. We worked on the logo and the project slogan, Skills for the Future. This is because in our experience, the labor market is in need for skilled workers on EQF level 4 and 5, and how can foreign credentials help with this shortage? Lastly, we had a review on the desk research and worked on survey preparations. And now Mirella is going to talk about the survey.
Thank you. As one of the initial activities of the project, we wanted to map existing recognition practices on vocational qualifications. The survey was distributed to the NERIC network in May 2023 and will be held open until the 1st of July. The aim of the survey was to identify relevant recognition offices and stakeholders who are working with or are planning to work with recognition of vocational qualifications. The initial results of the survey are being presented here today, and the final results will be used to describe recognition of vocational qualifications today in a project report, and to explore the need and possibility for a network for recognition of vocational qualifications. By now, 27 NERIC offices have completed the Bravo survey. We want to thank all of those who have taken the time to answer. In addition, some offices have filled in most of the answers without completing the survey. A few non-NERIC organizations who work with vocational qualifications have started the survey. However, none of these have completed. Some of their answers will be represented. If you do not see your NERIC office in the list above, we encourage you to make sure your office completes this whole survey before the 1st of July. The results that we will go through today are based on the responses we have by now. However, the picture can change in the project report if we should get more respondents. At the start of the survey, we were mainly interested to find out which recognition offices assess vocational qualifications. Some offices started the survey without completing, and their answers are also included. Out of the respondents, 58% answered that they assess vocational upper secondary education, and 61% answered that they assess vocational post-secondary education. In comparison, 79% of the respondents assess higher education qualifications. As some offices assess vocational education on EQF level 5 as higher education, we ask that they select both boxes in order to get the relevant questions later in the survey. Therefore, this number may be a bit misleading, but we will clean it up in the report. Several offices answered other, and some of the comments were that two of the respondents do not evaluate qualifications at all. Several offices define EQF 5 as higher education. One office also has a recognition procedure for vocational qualifications on EQF level 2. In the following slides, we will focus on the respondents who answered that they do assess vocational qualifications. Out of the offices who do have recognition schemes for vocational qualifications, 90% assess vocational qualifications on EQF level 4, and 95% assess vocational qualifications at level 5. However, this does not say much about how the level is assessed. For example, whether EQF level 5 is assessed as higher education or not. As the graph shows, vocational qualifications on other levels are also assessed, and this will be taken into account in the project report, even if the main focus of the project is EQF level 4 and level 5. On the question on what kind of recognition assessment is offered, 90% answered that they do level assessments. However, content-based assessments is also quite common. The next question was which criteria is used for assessing vocational qualifications. What is interesting is that the majority of the offices have the same recognition criteria for assessing vocational qualifications as for higher education. This seems to be connected to offices using the Lisbon Recognition Convention in recognition of vocational qualifications, even if the LRC only covers higher education. As the graph shows, as many as 80% of the respondents use the LRC in recognition of vocational qualifications. Those who have answered other mostly answered that there is a separate legal basis for recognition of the different types of qualifications. We also wanted to find out whether the recognition schemes are open to everyone or limited in any way. The majority of the recognition schemes are open for everyone. However, a smaller number of offices answered that they have limitations in the recognition schemes. 2 offices answered that the recognition schemes are limited to certain occupations and professions, while 1 scheme is limited to certain countries. Those who checked the other box wrote that their schemes are limited to citizens from the EU, EEA, residence permit holders, work permit holders, or asylum seekers. Further, we wanted to know what the recognition schemes are useful or necessary for, and what their value is perceived to be for the applicant and for society. The majority answered that their decisions give access to the labor market, closely followed by the decision being used for further studies and improving chances of employment. A number of offices also answered that their decision has the value of being legally binding and gives legal rights to perform a profession. In some countries, the decision gives economic rights in terms of salary, while in other countries, the applicants can use the decision to bargain their salary. We were interested in gathering some statistics on what kind of applications for vocational qualifications the recognition offices get. Firstly, we asked what fields of study the applications contain, and the majority were within the fields of health, welfare, and sports. Natural sciences, business, and teaching qualifications also represent a large number of the applications, while the rest of the fields of study were quite evenly represented. The respondents were asked to list the top 5 countries that they receive vocational recognition applications from. A somewhat low number of respondents provided this data, and therefore the results are represented in a word cloud and give an indication of the result that we did gather. Most applications for recognition of vocational qualifications are received from the UK, Germany, and Ukraine, followed by Italy, Poland, and Romania. Some countries are omitted from the slide due to the low number of responses. This picture only represents the offices who did provide this data and could change if we get more respondents. The survey results show that the numbers reported for vocational applications are generally lower than applications for higher education. The respondents were asked whether their recognition procedures have been analyzed or evaluated. Only a low number of the recognition procedures have been evaluated. And the number is even lower if one only registers externally conducted evaluations, as 75% of the evaluations exercises were internal evaluations. The results show that more surveys have been directed towards applicants than to employers. One office also wrote that they have done a statistical analysis on employment. The respondents who said that they do not have recognition procedures in place for vocational qualifications at the start of the survey were asked whether they are considering to extend their recognition procedures to include vocational qualifications. 2 offices answered yes, and 5 offices answered no. For those who answered no, the answer does not necessarily represent lack of interest, as some countries have other recognition authorities who assess vocational qualifications. Other countries are small, so there is little demand for recognition of vocational qualifications, and others lack expertise on vocational qualifications within their organizations. For those who answered other, they mainly write that they do not have the mandate to recognize vocational qualifications. A clear majority of the respondents said that they are interested in being part of a network for recognition of vocational qualifications. When asked what they think a network would be beneficial for, Tools and best practice sharing was the option with the most answers. However, it was quite even between all the options, and respondents seemed to be interested in information about quality assurance and vocational education systems in the EU countries, in addition to mailings lists or a forum. Some who checked the other box said that they could be interested in peer learning activities through online tools and on-site visits. Several respondents said that they are interested in information from and about countries outside of the EU, and not only within the EU. Some comments said that a network should explore how to apply automatic recognition of vocational qualifications in line with the EC recommendations. There is also interest in vocational education qualifications giving access to higher education and harmonization of recognition of vocational qualifications. I will now give the word back to Silje.
So what happens next? The survey will stay open, like we said, until the 1st of July, and we encourage all offices who have not completed the survey to do so. And moving forward, the project team will look further into the results and write a report based on the desk research and the survey. The project will also facilitate best practice workshop and explore the need and possibility for further cooperation through a network. The project period will end in December 2024. However, we hope that to create a cooperation that will live on after the project period. For further information about the project, please follow us on the LinkedIn page and for updates on our project. And you can also find more information on our website. And if you have any questions or comments, you can also contact us at bravo@hk-dir.no.